the CPUSA, Communist Party USA website and compare Soros' platform to theirs, and you're not going to see much daylight either.
Yeah. Now, one of the things Ann Coulter has called George Soros, she said Democrats have a Nazi collaborator, literally, international financier George Soros.
An unrepentant Nazi collaborator,
yeah,
right.
Funding their phony grassroots organizations. Okay, first off, how old is George Soros, and how is he, linked to World War II and the Nazis?
He's in his 80s. I want to say 87, but don't pin me down on that. Coulter's exactly right on this. What happened was he was born to a Hungarian Jewish family who pretended to be Christian to escape the Nazis, which, okay, everybody can live with that. His father was a lawyer, so he was able to make up the paperwork. Then, for some reason that's not real clear to me, he went to go live with a godfather who was very active in the Nazi Party, and at age 14 started going around with his godfather to confiscate valuables from Jews and serve them with a warrant saying, you're going to go for a little train ride. Again, at age 14, let's consider in most states in the United States that's considered the age of reason, the difference between right and wrong. You should know what you're doing. But you could give him a pass at age 14 had he not then in 1998 told Steve Croft on 60 Minutes that he did not have any remorse for what he did.
Wow.
Using the same line that murderous thugs have used, murderous dictators have used for generations, saying, well, if I didn't do it, somebody else would.
How would you go about eradicating this shadow party, or at least, figuring out a way to put a blanket over Soros and his ability to fund these types of organizations? He gives them sustenance. They grow at his behest. How, where is the way to cut them off at the knees, so to speak?
Yes, he's not going to sign up for one of his own death panels, unfortunately.
Right.
Read his stuff on death and dying. That'll curl your hair as they talk about the health care bill. The only way to do this, in my opinion, is to expose it. You need to turn the lights on and turn the light of day on. This is something I'm finding very, very disturbing, is the media, people like you being the exception, having the courage to go out there and talk about this. It's incredible to me how many of the alternative media, not just the mainstream media is never going to touch it, but people who know better, who will acknowledge, yes, Soros is a bad dude, but they don't really tell you much about him, and they don't really investigate this. And I'm very concerned that without the blogosphere, nobody would know anything about this guy, and he is the most powerful person in the world. There's no question about it.
More powerful than the president.
Yes.
Yeah.
The president of the United States cannot move a world market. George Soros can.
Wow.
He can give an interview anywhere in the world and change the market just by what he says. And he did a little bit of that showboating at Davos, where he announced that one of the problems America has is we're just not willing to run up enough deficits.
This was at the Davos summit last week.
Yes. He said America needs to carry more debt. We're not running up enough sufficient amount of deficit. And what happened, like 2 days later, all of a sudden the big trucks start rolling in with Obama's proposed budget.
Right. And of course, they voted the debt ceiling in, the increase in the debt ceiling, before they swore in, Scott Brown.
Yes. So, there are times when I just want to rip my hair out when you're listening to pundits going, well, gee, maybe he'll tack to the center now. Maybe he'll...
No.
He's not working for people. He's working for Soros. His agenda will be what Soros says it is to be, and that's the end of that. He has no room to move.
No, that's true. And here's the other thing, too. Everybody thought that, Brown's here to kill the health care bill. And while the health care bill is a really, really bad thing, the debt ceiling, raising the debt ceiling is even worse.
Yes.
Okay? And that's what, and I think that's one of the reasons why, you mentioned, this radio program may be the only one of the few that talk about George Soros and some folks on the blogosphere. I think the problem is for a lot of people is when you start getting into finance and debt ceilings and things like that, a lot of people's eyes glaze over. And they just, I can never understand this. Don't talk about it on the radio. You'll just confuse me. But the reality is that's what allows people like George Soros to flourish.
Right.
Because so many people are willing to say, oh, you're talking about the Federal Reserve, my eyes are glazing over, go on to something else. I mean, people like George Soros live for that kind of response.
Yes, they take advantage of our ignorance. And I'm one of those people. I don't like budgets and finance and numbers, and I glaze over. But at the same time, what's happening right now, you're absolutely right. This is not that difficult to understand. I think anyone who's not a Democrat can understand it, including 10-year-olds, that my solution, if I'm having a bad cash flow month, the idea is not to run to Macy's. That doesn't fix it. Most people understand that intuitively. They don't need a really complicated exercise in economics to know that doesn't work.
Yeah. No, it doesn't even work to run to Macy's and buy a bunch of stuff and then try and sell it at a garage sale for more than you paid for it.
eBay. That's what eBay's all about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Joy, I want to thank you for joining us. You're doing such great work. Please don't stop.
Oh, real quick, if people are interested in more about Soros, they can look at my website, and my book, Obama Nuts, The Cult Leader Takes the White House, has an entire chapter devoted to him.
All right, joytiz.com. Go there and find out what Joy is thinking about and writing about, and also follow the links to her book and get that and educate yourself and your friends. Joy Tiz, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Mark. We'll talk soon.
Okay, 6:46, 14 before the hour, KION. Would you like to talk to 20 potential customers in a lunch hour? The Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce invites you to lunch local on Tuesday, February 23rd at Applebee's Restaurant on North Davis Road in Salinas. Make the most of this program. Wear your name tag, bring business cards, and come with ideas to share. You buy your own lunch, and there's no